Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here. And today's video is going to be my top 10 picks for New Year's Eve 2023. So these 10 fragrances are the ones in my collection that I would be reaching for an event like New Year's Eve. Sadly, this particular night I was homebound. My one-year-old daughter has quite a fever, so had to cancel some of the plans that I had going on to stay and take care of her. But luckily, I was able to dedicate a little bit more time to shooting this video and coming up with this list. So I've got 10 killer fragrances here. Some of them are hard to find, but well worth a special occasion like this evening. So I'm going to start off with the first one here. This is Ted Lapidus's Poker Face. So this one used to be a cheapie. You could actually get it for under $20 on Fragrance X just last winter, and sadly it's really hard to find now, but for good reason. It was worth the hype that it did get when it was around. This is like a more amped up version of La Nuit de l'Homme with a really nice iris note added in. The closest fragrance in my collection that comes to Poker Face is Pour Homme de Giron Soir, the black bottle from Giron. That gets pretty close to this one, but this one I think just does a little bit better of a job for a New Year's Eve type of fun yet seductive scent profile. Like I said, La Nuit de l'Homme with iris. Really beautiful, sensual stuff, and definitely something I've gotten quite a good bit of wear out of. Pretty good dent in there, but that's going to be my first pick for this evening, Poker Face. Okay, the next one, Midnight in Paris. So this one, the bottle accent here just reminds me of New Year's Eve, like the midnight or night sky full of stars and fireworks. This presentation just does a really good job of selling the evening's tone to me. And as far as the scent profile goes, the closest thing that you could get to this is Prada Luna Rossa Black, and this is essentially that DNA with a little bit more of a smoky, leathery vibe going on. That little bit of extra makes this something that I would reach for over Prada Luna Rossa Black, but that's also a fine fragrance that you could pencil into this slot here in this list. So that is Van Cleef & Arpels Midnight in Paris. Okay, next we have Guerlain Heritage. So these do come in a newer bottle style. I hear that the formula is more or less intact, other than maybe performance and slight differences in quality of ingredients, but in general it comes pretty close to this vintage version. But I chose this fragrance because I love the barbershop appeal. I think it's perfect for a night out when you're dressing up a little bit and kind of presenting yourself at your level best. And so this is a great barbershop for that occasion during this point of time in the year, at least in the West, where New Year's falls on a winter winter calendar. So here we are about to be at January 1st. This does a really good job of bringing the barbershop scent profile into something a little bit more rich and dense, with a focus on patchouli and sandalwood in here. Really beautiful, creamy, elegant, sophisticated, and something that came out in the 90s and I think does a good job of capturing that sort of peak of civilization that we had going on there for a little while. This is Guerlain's Heritage Eau de Toilette. Okay, next. These are in no particular order, just the way I lined them up here, but MFK's Grand Sauv. This fragrance, the way that it has its tone, it reminds me of a red carpet event, as do many of the fragrances in this list. As New Year's Eve just kind of gives me that vibe of like paparazzi cameras, like flashing lights against a red and black backdrop, maybe the night sky, the way that the fireworks act like that. And this fragrance has a really nice tone that captures that vibe in the sense that it's sparkly. There's just a very bright, effervescent amber going on here, a little bit of a cleanly touch, almost soapy, from a lavender that's really in the back, but otherwise a beautiful, well done, gummy textured amber, and just very simple, almost designer-esque in the sense that it's not complex or like wow. There's not much wow factor in here other than the fact that it's just well done and well received. That's MFK's Grand Sauv. I think a perfect companion for New Year's Eve. Okay, next. This is violet is a note that I really like for these types of red carpet event tones or events, or something that's giving off that vibe, which I get from New Year's Eve, because violets tend to have this certain velvety textural feel to them. And so while I almost went with the original, and I think that's a fine one for this evening as well, it features violet and honey, This is the Golden Anniversary Edition, none other than Cavalli Uomo, and this does, it's almost like a violet note added upon the top of Tom Ford's Noir Extreme Parfum to some extent. You get a little bit of that kind of dense, rich tonka bean in this case instead of the kulfi note that has, but a dense, rich sweetness, and then a little bit of a jagged edge from some resinous qualities and some leather. Really amazing stuff, something that I definitely need to get some more wears out of. I've been neglecting it just because it's, you know, like a special edition fragrance to a line that has more or less been discontinued, but this is a great one for the evening. I think the overall texture, tone, and scent profile is great with this one. So you get a little bit of the original with that violet-centric tonka bean, a little bit of a powdery touch, but masculinized in the same way that you would with Noir Extreme Parfum or even an Issey Miyake Noir Ombre that just has that nice smoky leathery edge to it. So that's Cavalli Uomo Golden Anniversary Edition. Next, another one that is going to be in my top 10 pickups of 2023. I was able to get this for a really good deal, under $300 MSRP, or retail it goes for like $600 I think, and perfect companion for an evening like tonight. It's got some class and some elegance with a rose-centric backbone with a beautiful amount of sensuality from some awesome cardamom. This is African Rose from Memo. It's basically a rose flanker to the African leather, and wow, what a stunning sensual fragrance. Very overpriced. I don't think it's quite worth what they're asking for it at retail, but it sits pretty close to the skin. It's not overtly beast mode, and so that's one reason why I think this one is great for going out with, because you're not going to choke out a room, but you are going to command presence. It's definitely something that is going to grab attention and has all the great qualities that you'd be looking for in terms of intimate encounters and kind of like a Netflix and chill vibe, but also like a very strong presence in a room full of a crowd. So that is African Rose from Memo. That's next one up on the New Year's Eve list. Okay, we have 4 more. This one is the only boozy fragrance for this list, since most people are going to be spending the evening entertaining that source of entertainment. This is Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Again, leaning into the fougere, classy, elegant, masculine vibe. This one does that very well. This very green in some sense. There's a fir balsam note resin in here that kind of commands a very transportative outdoor in a pine wood forest vibe, but it keeps with an incredibly almost syrupy style ambery sweetness going on that just rounds it out, makes it very much a modern fragrance with the way that the sweetness is coming off of the rum in here. Very elegant stuff. Surprised that you can get this for under $100. I think it's a great deal, and again, the dent in here is paying testament to just how much I enjoy wearing this one. I think New Year's Eve and the early parts of January, late parts of December, I think are a perfect time to rock this fragrance. Definitely one that I highly recommend for winter in general, but definitely for New Year's Eve. So that's Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Okay, next one here. This is a oldie, and it definitely has an old school appeal. There's notes in here like carnation and clove and oak moss that are very dominant, that really make this a little bit more of a mature fragrance, but I think it is perfect for a wintertime party, but upscale kind of party, like just something, again, like hearkening to that old wood or old world Hollywood, old money kind of feel. This is a Bijan Men, and so this is really affordable. I think you can get this for like $20, and it almost leans into that fougere scent profile again, but it's a lot more powdery, a lot more spicy, very much a spicy amber fougere kind of scent profile. The clove is one of the most dominant aspects of this fragrance, but it wears very creamy, powdery, and spicy, or like the major accords and textures going on in here. This is supposed to be a ring with a diamond on top. I'm not sure if the older bottles had a different cap, but this is a little bit sus in terms of its presentation, almost Rochas Man esque, but regardless, this I think is a really great fragrance that commands a really good old school but borderline passable in a modern crowd, because it has this sweetness to it. Like it leans into that ambery. I think there's like iris in here, amber, benzoin. It's got a lot of those sensual notes, but a lot of those old school notes like carnation, oak moss, lavender, and clove. So definitely something worth maybe trying out. Again, it's under $20, and if you are into those more old school style fragrances, this is a great one for a event like tonight. Okay, next we have one that I think does a good job of selling itself as a classy upscale type scent and perfect for the cold weather. This is YSL's Tuxedo, and Rochas Mustache also is a perfect fragrance that could fill in this slot. It comes very close in terms of the scent profile, also has a good presentation that has that old school kind of Art Deco glass presentation on it. But yeah, really great spicy patchouli and nice resinous type vanillic sweetness going on, like ambers and benzoin. Just really, and a little bit of a rose that classes it up. The patchouli in here is a little bit more rich and dense than it is in Mustache by Rochas, but I don't think $200 more rich and dense. Really glad to have this one, but the Mustache I think is a perfect slot for this list as well. And yeah, anything called the Tuxedo is going to be great for a night out and really putting your level best and marching into the new year as a new you in the best possible way. So that is YSL's Tuxedo. And then we have one left, which is actually my scent of the day for New Year's Eve. This won a spray off challenge video that I did recently. I'll link that in the description below. You can check that video out as well. And that was how I decided what I was going to be wearing this evening. And it is none other than my favorite fragrance of all time that I've got my nose on thus far and in my collection, Dior Parfum. The best powdery, sensual, but dark, rich, sexy iris, oud, leather, rose, ambrette, just absolutely stunning fragrance. It leaves me at a little bit of a loss for words even to begin to describe it. It's absolutely worth getting your nose on, even if you have Dior Homme Intense. This one just does something magical. It has that X factor, that you know, just a little bit extra that makes this almost like a niche version of that iris scent profile that you get from Givenchy Gentleman line, from Dior Homme Intense. Definitely try to get this fragrance, at least smell it once, because it is really a complete masterpiece in my opinion. One of the very few fragrances that I'm willing to give a 10 out of 10 rating on. So that is my last pick for New Year's Eve 2023. Let me know what you're going to be wearing this evening, or what you wore on the New Year's Eve night if you're seeing this in the future. And as always, I really appreciate you sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.